Welcome once again to Commander by Danon. Today's video was brought to us by Patreon supporter Pedro. Huge thanks to Pedro and the rest of my Patreon supporters. Pedro reached out asking for an Aristocrats deck led by Smeagol Helpful Guide, and I was more than happy to help. If you're enjoying my content, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate the support, and if you like the deck list, consider sharing the video as well. Smeagol Helpful Guide is a 3-mana 4/2 legendary halfling horror. At the beginning of our end step, if a creature died under our control this turn, the Precious tempts us. Additionally, whenever the Precious tempts us, target opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a land card. We then put that card onto the battlefield tapped under our control, and the rest into their graveyard. So, we are a land thief deck, which makes sense as we learned how to be a thief from those nasty, dirty hobbitses. Now, Pedro told me he didn't want this to be a landfall deck, but he did want an Aristocrats deck. In order to build an Aristocrats deck, we need 3 moving parts: creatures to sacrifice, sacrifice outlets, and payoffs for sacrificing our creatures. I convinced him to add a couple of landfall cards in the deck, just for the purpose of making tokens, so he'd have something to sacrifice. But before we get to our deck list, a quick word from our sponsor, Ultimate Guard. This year, Ultimate Guard released the gorgeous Collector's Album with art from Maël Olivier Henry. This album is absolutely gorgeous, and it's large enough to fit quad-row pages. Now, this is a limited edition, and I don't think it's available on Amazon yet. So check your local game store, or click on the link down below to Ultimate Guard's Amazon store to see if they have it in stock yet. After all, who knows what the future brings? In order to build a functional commander deck, you need lots of different pieces, which is why I try to rely on my handy-dandy checklist. 50 mana sources, usually split between 37 lands and 13 pieces of ramp, 10 pieces of card advantage, 8 to 10 pieces of spot removal, 2 to 3 board wipes, 2 pieces of graveyard hate, and 1 sudden I win card. One last announcement before we get into our video. I've started streaming on Twitch. There's a link down below in the video description, but the address is twitch.tv/DanonWildfire. Feel free to swing by. I'll be talking about Commander, anime, manga, or whatever else chat wants to discuss. I just started a new job, but I'm going to try to stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Unless I've got an event at my kid's school to go to. Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Verdant Catacombs, Marsh Flats, Misty Rainforest, Overgrown Tomb, Undergrowth Stadium, Deathcap Glade, Woodland Cemetery, Woodland Chasm, Haunted Mire, Tainted Wood, Llanowar Wastes, Darkboar Pathway, Temple of Malady, Darkmoss Bridge, Golgari Guildgate, Golgari Rot Farm, Bajuka Bog, 9 forests, and 9 swamps make up our land base. Sakura Tribe Elder, Pitiless Plunderer, Deathrite Shaman, Solemn Simulacrum, Entish Restoration, Soul Ring, Black Market Connections, Rampant Growth, Nature's Lore, 3 Visits, Cultivate, Kodama's Reach, and Skyshroud Claim help us to ramp out and stay ahead of the curve. Call of the Ring, Sam's Desperate Rescue, Skull Clamp, Mosswood Dread Knight, Eternal Witness, Midnight Reaper, Nasty End, Village Rites, Deadly Dispute, Victimize, Diabolic Intent, Moldervine Reclamation, Death Reap Ritual, and Sylvan Library help us to dig through our deck and keep our hands full. Claim the Precious, Bombadil's Song, Rise of the Witch King, Cankerbloom, Plague Crafter, Braid's Arisen Nightmare, Haywire Mite, Fleshbag Marauder, Shriekmaw, Old Man Willow, Assassin's Trophy, Dictate of Erebos, and Grave Pact help us to keep our opponents in line. Toxic Deluge, and the Meat Hook Massacre help us to reset the board as needed. Golem Patient Plotter, Rampaging Baloths, Awakening Zone, Marin of Clan Neltoth, Spore Mound, Shadow of the Enemy, and Zendikar's Royal serve as the core of our deck. Our sacrifice outlets consist of Viscera Seer, Carrion Feeder, and Woe Strider. Our aristocrat payoffs are Sir Conrad the Grim, Zulaport Cutthroat, Blood Artist, Mirkwood Bats, Bastion of Remembrance, Poison Tip Archer, Falconwrath Noble, Vindictive Vampire, Agent of the Iron Throne, Dina Soulsteeper, and Vito Thorn of the Dusk Rose. I know that Dina and Vito aren't exactly aristocrats, but most of our aristocrats gain us life, so they basically double our triggers. Now that we have our deck list, let's compare it to our checklist. 50 mana sources split between 36 lands, 13 pieces of ramp, and our commander. 14 pieces of card advantage, 13 pieces of interaction, 2 board wipes, 2 pieces of graveyard hate in Bojuka Bog and Shadow of the Enemy, 1 sudden I win card in the Meat Hook Massacre. There's a reason this card is worth $30. In this deck, we can cast it for 2 mana and just use it as another aristocrat effect, or we can win the game out of nowhere depending on the board state. Aristocrats is not a fast archetype. It is slow and grindy, which means it has fallen slightly out of favor in today's fast meta. But once in a while, I like a slow grindy deck that is hard to stop. Kill my creatures? Okay, take a ton of damage. Exile my graveyard? Okay, I'll just refill it again. Because we're not a specific combo deck and rather are relying on synergy with multiple pieces to win the game, it can be hard to stop us once we get going. Do you have a Smeagol Helpful Guide deck? What was the theme of your deck? What's your secret deck tech? Leave a comment below. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cutestuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, she can be reached at cutestuff.edits@gmail.com. Link is down below. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. For only $25, you too can have a Commander video built at your request. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons: Waffles, Jiraiya, Danny, Muffins, Marcus, Squishy, Brett, Roxy, Josh, Sean, Pob Zombie, Mark, Borky, Exiled Rogue, Nazwin, Hector, Pedro, Tom, Echo Fox, Midge, Swifty, Lucis, Detroff, Rally, and Elf. You guys are awesome. I post new Commander Deck videos every weekday, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of new videos. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time on Commander by Danon.